I feel bad when I get angry. I feel ashamed when I get angry. I don't know what to do with this stuff.
But then that's because most people don't know how to express their anger positively. Like I know, you know, for me, a lot of the time when I get angry, I have to walk away from a situation because I cannot suppress or repress my anger.
So do you rage? Sorry, it's a personal thing.
Yeah,
Like, do
you know what? I think depending on the situation, I can like fly into a rage, and so I literally have to physically remove myself from the situation because I will most definitely not express my anger positively, right? So I always
can you help
and I don't like myself when I'm
me too,
right?
Bridget. Me too. Absolutely, I do the same thing. I walk away as a way of dealing with the initial anger until I get some control, or until but you see, if I've got a storehouse of anger, that's when I lose control. That's what we want to talk about in the area of forgiveness, you know, because forgiveness deals with the storehouse. What you were referring to is we have to manage it as well. But people try to manage, but they got this great big black cauldron, I call it, of anger from years of hurt and history that they haven't dealt with, and then so they really lose control.
So when you say to walk away at that time, you're not saying it's a temporary thing, but you have to deal with it.
Right.
You have to deal with it, otherwise it becomes a part of your storehouse of anger and then turns into bitterness and then unforgiveness.
That means there's a lot of angry people out there walking around. I mean, I'm not saying, I mean, for us, I mean, obviously we have, and myself have anger issues that probably need to be resolved, but there's a lot of angry people out there. I mean, this isn't an issue for people that we're saying physically rage, but there are a lot of people.
Well,
that
here's
are
a good point. You've just been all over the world, and have an agenda that's taking you into the rest of the world, helping people. What do you suggest to them that people that just know there's an inner boil all the time? You know, there's just something in there, and they don't even know what the root of it is. Would you start by asking the Lord to show you what is the root of my constant wanting to bite someone's head off?
Absolutely. You have to understand, if you deal with the symptoms, which is more anger management, and there's a place for doing that at times, all right? But if that's all we do, then often there's this boiling cauldron of stuff that boil, and I have no control over it. So what I really want to do is go and deal with the root. And the root, in my mind, the only way we can actually deal with this is through forgiveness.
It's forgiveness.
It's forgiveness.
And that's powerful. Yeah, I mean, in your book, I know that we went through this earlier and we talked about anger, but your forgiveness chapter, like the whole section 3, powerful stuff. I mean, the whole thing about forgiveness is a choice, and that a lot of us have lived and keep hold of being a victim because we've been so offended, and so we're victims walking around. When you've said, you know, it's a choice to choose to cancel the debt, you know, release the offender and be free. This is huge. Like, I was like, this is a choice of us. And so we walk around going, I'm a victim, woe is me. And you put it back on us to say, guess what, Melinda? You have to choose forgiveness. This is an active, not passive response.
Right. Because some people say to me, I have the right to my resentment. And you know, I'm counseling. I say, go ahead, you have it. But it makes you a victim, and it's destructive to you. It's like cancer. Unfortunately, it eats away and eats away. You may not see it for a long time, but all of a sudden they tell you, you got 6 months left, you got 2 months left. And I think actually buried anger actually can create many of the autoimmune diseases, of which cancer is one of them, and it can leave us vulnerable physically in that way.
I know a man, interviewed him here, who was given 6 months to live, and the Lord impressed on him, you need to forgive so-and-so from years back. And he struggled and he struggled, and he said, oh, I probably don't even have his number. And he finally called the man and said, do you even remember? It was that long ago. And the man said, oh, no, it's I who need to forgive you. And do you know that man is serving the Lord today? He got up off that deathbed through forgiveness.
But the thing is, though, I have the right to be angry at the person who has abused me and victimized me. They have hurt me deeply and desperately.
But do you want to live long and prosper?
But that's what I'm saying. But don't we sit there, if I have been sexually abused, if I have been swindled of money, if I have whatever it is, you know, we sit there in that place of saying, I have every right to be upset, and I'm going to hold on to that because that's power and control.
It almost sounds like you're looking for someone to validate the offense that's been committed against you, but once that validation has been given, then you need to move past it. You need to say, okay, now I need to heal.
And I actually would shift the language from I have the right to be angry, that's the way God has made me. Anger is the natural response. So it's not so much I have the right, it's just the way it is.
But I'm saying but a lot of people that are walking around, Graham,
they will say
I do have a right because they have offended me. And so we hold on to that. Right.
But when you hold on to that right to resentment, it's like someone I think expressed it this way. It's like taking poison and waiting for the other person to die.
Wow.
Isn't that interesting? I read that in Reader's Digest one time. I thought, that's very good. It's like
That's
taking
good.
poison, waiting for the other person to die. It's destructive to you. So forgiveness is the only way out. And radical forgiveness too.
Okay, so my question is, what does forgiveness actually look like? Because I struggle with that. Like, I was able to forgive somebody last year after holding on to this unforgiveness for about 3 years.
Right.
And then, you know, I would be sitting there and then I'd be thinking to myself, did I really forgive this person? Have I really forgiven this person? How do I know that I actually have?
Fair enough. I'm really glad you asked that, because to me, I've worked with many people who say, I forgave my father, I forgave my mother, I forgave this person, etc. And then I say, well, why are all these symptoms still here? And so the reason that, to me, the definition I give of forgiveness that works is when the anger comes up and out. So I work at getting the anger up and out. And for that, I developed an exercise called the forgiveness exercise, which is in the book. And I use it as a therapeutic tool. Now, for me, I would probably do like you did, Bridget. I don't know, I'd go and pray. And I express my anger to God. I'm angry at this person.
Yeah.
I get it up.
I do that all the time.
Then I say, now, God, I want to release it. See, because I have a choice. That's where the choice comes in, Melinda. I have a choice. I can hang on to it and say, well, it's my right to hang on to it. I'm going to pay you back for what you did. I'm going to get revenge, or I'm going to blame you for all my problems. Or I can say, you know, this is killing me. You know, bitterness is so destructive.
Sometimes you have to release it daily, don't you?
Oh,
It's a
of course you
journey
do.
of releasing, because you're reminded constantly, especially if the person doesn't ask for forgiveness and doesn't think they did anything wrong.
Right, and I mean, I do that on an ongoing basis with my marriage. 35 years I've been married to this beautiful woman, and you know, we haven't had a perfect marriage. Nobody has. How do you work that out? You forgive, and you forgive, and you forgive. Sometimes it is daily that you have to do that. Right? So that's a part of life. I think forgiveness is a part of life. Like repentance, it's a part of life.